Kind of chilling out front of my house. Having a little cigar. It's Sunday. Time for coffee. Oh yeah, I got that shit with me. Okay. Let's check out this. I get to check this out every day when I walk out my front door. And a couple times a day during the week, a train goes by right there on that scene. I love this place. We get growth up on 3 sides of the yard, except for the street side. You can't see or hear nothing. We're about 2 miles away from the interstate, from 3580, where it crosses through Iowa, or 35 and 80 cross in the middle of Iowa, and it just turns into lulling white noise. I get to enjoy where I live. I'm thankful for that. Too many don't get that luxury. All right, so we're gonna tread back through some stuff from last week. First, we're gonna update, I guess, this week. Really, not there's a whole lot to update. I actually shot this once, and maybe we'll keep that around for outtakes and just cutscenes and shit down the road when I get a little more sophisticated in my production. I made a lot of words but didn't say a whole lot. Okay, stressed, freaked out, stretched thin. It doesn't really begin to explain, but we're close, we're getting there, we're drawing down on that concept. But what do? You steel your nerves and you stare straight ahead. You keep marching, keep going, keep plodding forward. So that's where we're at with the shop. We are not specifically changing any direction. We're just rethinking some of our plans and reevaluating a few things. If I can get my homestead squared away, well, that's one less stress on my head. That'll be dandy. That's the thing. Those little stressors, they stack up and they really weigh you down. And you can't worry about each and every little stressor, or else you'll be fucking certifiable in no time at all. I've seen better people than me collapse under the weight of fewer stresses in their life. I'm not a great person, I'm not fantastic, I'm not a wonderful guy, I'm not special, I'm not particularly talented in any way, shape, or form. Except, I'm willing to take a step back and reevaluate things. I don't just hard-nose through like so many of us do. I listen to not the next generation, but the generation before, and the generation before that. Growing up, when I was just a lad, a lot of households, they kick the kids out of the house and they sit around and do adult talk. For whatever reason, I slipped through the cracks, and I got to learn from pre-war and war generation people about everything. And in 20 years, our stressors this second, right now, will be invalid. Moot point. Things that we worry about. Up in the shop, we got the 6-seat shelf pretty well buttoned down on its first leg of the journey. We got to bust it up into sections of the journey. We're getting considerable more traffic calling about fixing up these old cars. Alright, it's a little chilly. I'm putting the hood back on. I'll look like a fucking hood rat. So what? Let me see. So we're getting more action there off of guerrilla tactics. Craigslist, word of mouth, things that cost no money or less. We stopped taking, it's one of those, you guys look at it and I hear so many times, well, it's something. I had to get something in. No, you didn't have to get nothing in. Stay home that day. Go and clean the shop up that day. Don't fucking work on something that you lose money doing. There's a line. There's a fine line in there somewhere, right? Building construction equipment. And I've decided if I've got a 24 by 24 area that I can dedicate to that with a big overhead door, I can belt these fuckers out in good time, make good money for the shop, make good money for me, make good money for Jeremy and our families. I just got to keep orders coming in. If I can keep orders coming in, then I'll research a second plan. That was always a sideline hope that I could do some heavier fabricating. Because everybody needs, small business America, they all need these little implements, this, that, or the other. But there's nobody to build them. Or there's few people to build them. Right now at the marketplace, you don't make a lot of money for a man basket, but it just is. You can make an even wage. You can make even shop time on it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. C10, it's pretty much out of our hair. We're just going through one pace at a time, taking care of shit, doing stuff. Working on the Monte Carlo. We'll be pulling that 66 Chevelle in real soon. God's willing. It's been sitting too long. It's been sitting for 4 weeks with minimal done, and that's embarrassing. It's par to course of how we used to behave. That's not who we are, that's not how we act, it's not what we're going to do. That doesn't get us anywhere. We want that thing gone at the end of November. Back in the owner's hands so he can enjoy his ride. He's got some interior upgrades and things like that he wants to do this winter. Let's give him time for it so he can be ready for Good Guys. We'll go out and check it out. I'll get some footage of it at Good Guys next summer. Okay, back to subject of last week. I had one of our friends write in, we were discussing, here's my thought process. We have a generational issue right now, and it's a haves versus a have-nots. It's a police state versus you. It's not black or white. And here's a thought process. Here's one. You look at the uber wealthy and the uber poor that aren't subject to pressures of society, of regular society, labeling, political attack ads, profiling, and you have more intermingling there between people of various ethnicities. Even in our European oral tradition, it goes all the way back to not understanding genetics, but understanding that running that same line, you're going to run into issues at some point. And a gentleman wrote in, he's like, well, it's my belief, by my observations, that in this particular instance, discussing, for lack of a better word at this time, black folks have a tendency to segregate themselves. Well, here's the trick. You've been out to the upper middle class, lower upper class section of town. gated communities, all them Peckerwoods are segregating themselves. So Latinos, small guys to a potty. Latinos tend to segregate themselves. Here's the trick: the human mind sees anything different than yourself as wrong. It's a lower thought process. It's a survival mechanism. It's a survival mechanism, and it's a lower thought process. We all do it. Every one of us. I have, you have. It's not something to feel guilty or ashamed about. It's gross genetics, okay? It's how we are hardwired. And how you approach that is completely subjective. It's completely up to you. If you like the status quo, do what makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. I'm going to tell you right now, I'd be lost without some good old comfort food, soul food, southern fried goods, catfish and collard greens. I bust out old Lead Belly. Jeremy's got that on his in his music library. We listen to that. Every derivation of music today that's popular is based around 3-chord rhythm and blues, which is up until the 70s what everybody called black music. So we all segregate ourselves to some extent. We can't pin this on one ethnic group of people. It's faces they're comfortable seeing, dialects, accents, and languages they're accustomed to hearing, the way of life they're accustomed to seeing. They're going to group in those areas. I can't go out and live out in the western suburbs. I can't do it. I don't fit there. I'm not comfortable there. Have I been chased out of there? Perhaps. But I know sure enough I don't fit there. So that's a moot point. That is extremely subjective through one's eyes and opinions. But if you open up and look at the whole, we segregate ourselves. And that can be a problem its own. You look at professional musicians. First, they start off very salt of the earth, very simple. And as they develop fame, popularity, appreciation, and they immerse themselves in that environment around more artists, more people of that ilk, the more off track and difficult to touch, difficult to understand they become to the average folk that were attracted to their music and genre in the first place. So there you go. There's an overview for you from my brain, how my brain works. We all segregate ourselves. We all impose our own prisons, our own limitations. And if we keep doing that, in my opinion, the human race isn't going to get too far. We haven't gone a hell of a lot of distance in the last 100 years to start with. Not culturally. We've gone backwards culturally. So that's all I got on that. Been following the Ebola. That's interesting all in and of itself. Let me see, one write-up I saw, there were 4,500 people worldwide infected. They expect that number to double to 9,000 in 4 weeks. 4 weeks after that, so 8 weeks, 2 months from now, they expect it to be 18,000, so forth and so on. I don't care where in the world that's at. That's deplorable. I don't know how our military being deployed to help fight this in Africa is going to help. Other than it's going to make a bunch of dead soldiers. It's like sending a gorilla in to win a chess battle. Oh, they might get somewhere. But not for long. We'll see how that goes. We'll watch it unfold. I'm gonna tune off here. Last weekend I was gonna tear off those shingles, and Saturday it worked, and it's Sunday it rained all day. Monday it rained all day. Tuesday it finally let up enough we could shove that Chevelle outside because I'm at a stopping point for right now. So I'm gonna try to get at least the shingles shed so I can take a better fix on what I've got to cut out and replace for 2x4s and plywood. I got everything but 2x4s and plywood rounded up, so I'll have to go to the hardware store, pick up some nails, and I don't have any of my fancy gear anymore from being a carpenter, so it's hand nail. It is. Let me see. One treat, we went out to Vala's Pumpkin Patch yesterday. That was a day trip to Omaha. Just outside of Omaha, about 20 minutes outside of Omaha. The corn maze was disappointing, but they've been open for like a month now. And people have been trampling through there, knocking more stalks down, pulling stalks out. There just wasn't much left of the corn maze. A big trampled area of corn. But it was a good time. The kids enjoyed it. We adults enjoyed it. The girl wanted to go and adamantly put her foot down. We were going today. So we got our asses up early and left. Surprisingly, 3 kids from 3 to 10 behaved themselves very well for a 3-hour car ride, one way. They were sugared up enough they were pretty sedate on the way back. Alright, morning smoke's over. This coffee cup's empty. It ain't gonna fill itself. I'm gonna get my day started.